The walking simulator or adventure genre divides opinion, and it's easy to see why. The games can be extremely hit and miss. Then there are those like Firewatch, The Assembly, or even Layers of Fear that show just what the genre is capable of producing. Even then, not everyone is a fan, and that's okay. Still, whether you enjoy these types of games or not, we implore you to check out What Remains of Edith Finch. In our opinion, it can proudly stand as the best of them all. Developed by Giant Sparrow and published by Annapurna Interactive, it was released in 2017. The game garnered critical acclaim, going as far as to win a BAFTA for Best Game in the same year. The game is centered on the character of Edith Finch. It's revealed that she's the last in the Finch family line which have a perceived curse. They believe that it causes all but one member of each generation to die in unusual ways. Edith has returned to her family's home off the coast of Washington state, following her mother's death to explore the house they had hastily abandoned years before.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
She learns about her relatives and her own deaths by visiting their bedrooms. These are sealed off and treated as shrines. Each death is played out in short gameplay sequences to the player. The game is presented as an anthology of these mini experiences, wrapped in the dramatic retelling of the family's history and fate through Edith's narration. What Remains of Edith Finch takes you on a fascinating journey in which we explore the stories of Edith's family members, each one with their own uniquely executed gameplay mechanic. We found the very concept alone to be highly compelling, and it doesn't fail to deliver. As with any of these types of games, you're never really doing that much except exploring. However, the experience is so enjoyable you'll hardly notice. This is a journey that held our attention from beginning to end.
I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits. I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up.
His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
Walter, are you there? Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
I returned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing.
Each tale is fantastical in nature. The game really reminds of Tim Burton's film Big Fish, in that the reality may not have been quite as interesting, or at least slightly less straightforward. We liked how each one is presented in ways to offset the genuinely depressing nature of it all. Be aware this is a sad story, and one that is packed with emotional gut punches. We can all interpret things differently, but in our mind the message of the game is simple. No matter how long a person lives, or how little time you spend with them in your life, they can still have huge impact. A truly outstanding aspect is the impeccable voice work and musical score that accompanies you. Also, it is worth noting that What Remains of Edith Finch does not overstay its welcome. In fact, it's easy to play through in less than 3 hours, even if you're taking in every last detail. Literally, the only real negative that we can highlight is that there are a few technical issues, but nothing too serious and certainly nothing game-breaking. What Remains of Edith Finch is just a generally beautiful experience. Calling it a work of art doesn't feel like an understatement. Would rather play this type of game 10 times over than any generic shooter. It is a must-play, and with it being available on Game Pass, you have little excuse.
On the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you